Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to talk about shared preferences. Shared preferences is a way to store values inside your mobile, inside the local storage of your mobile. For example, if you need to store some information about the user like his username and password, his favorite color, his favorite language and so on, all those can be stored inside your local device by using the shared preferences. So I'm going to add a simple example now with the help of the shared preferences. It's supposed to add a plain text here and also I'm going to add save button. From the button I'm going to add a button here. So if the user enter his name here in the edit text and then click on the button, his name will be stored in the shared preferences. At first, let's call this one as et underscore name. Okay, yes. Let's remove the text and add some hint like enter your name. And I'm going to call this button btn, right? Okay, let's add text like save. So when the user enter his name here and click on save, this value will be stored in the shared preferences. Okay, so let's try this one now by using Kotlin. Here I'm going to write something like btn write dot set on a click listener, which means if the user click on this button, how can we add the value which has been entered in the edit text inside your local storage by the help of the shared preferences? The first step is to define the object from the get shared preferences function. And this function needs two parameters. The first one is the name of the file, which is info. Of course, you can give any name. So I'm going to create a file called info and then the mode, which is private in this example. Of course, mode private means this file, which is info, will be exclusive only by your application. So any external application cannot access this file. Then, how can we add a value inside this file? I'm going to add the editor sp.edit. So this object will be used to write inside this file. Then editor dot put string name, for example, and not this one, et name dot text dot toString, which means create or add a new key called name and add the value which has been entered in the edit text as value for this name. So this is the column name and this is the value of this column name. Okay, and at last just write something like editor.comment. Okay, very simple. So now let's try this one. Okay, let's try, for example, something like Yazan. When we click on save, yes, this value has been stored inside the file. But how can we check if this value has been stored? How can we retrieve the value from the info file? In this case, I'm going to add here another button. Okay, and let's call this button as btn underscore read, which will be used to show the value. And below this button I'm going to add a text view. Okay, so we are supposed to click on the show button. So when we click on the show button, Yazan will be shown here inside this text view, which I'm going to call it TV name, for example. Now, let's go to the Kotlin, and here, when we click on btn read.set on a click listener, in this case, how can we implement the read? Just copy this line, copy and paste, and then tv name dot text equal sb dot get string name, which means retrieve the value of name from the info file. But what about if the user didn't save anything inside the name? In this case, we can give default value, something like, for example, no name, which means if you didn't find any value inside the name, just return no name. Okay, so let's try this example now. Okay, now let's click on show. Yes, as you can see here, we have got a Yazan. Let's change the value, for example, to something like Ali. Save. When we click on show, yes, we have got Ali. So in this video, we have talked about how can we store a value inside the file and how can we retrieve the value from this file by the help of the shared preferences. And at the end of this section, I hope you have enjoyed this section. And in the next section, we are going to talk about the Google Maps. See you in the next section.